was a spunky thing from the second he was born. You know, he was a silly kid and he loved Zach, and they'd do what brothers do even at 5 and 2, wrestling. And one of my favorite memories is you were at work, but there was one apple left in the fruit basket on the island, and Zach grabbed the apple, and Mace wanted the apple, and he just tackled him down to the ground. And Zach's laughing, and he wrestled that apple out of his hands and ate the rest of it.
Yeah.
He always was pretty strong-willed, and he was kind of quiet until he got sick.
I think one of the reasons why we all got into CrossFit, and I can't speak for everybody, but for myself personally, it wasn't just the workouts, it wasn't just the community, it was the community's ability to be able to honor not just heroes, firefighters, soldiers, but really anybody who has a strong tie to the community, who's lost a loved one or somebody that meant something to them.
We thought he had a cold, runny nose, cough, and then it turned into what sounded like he had croup. And I took him to the doctor twice.
Yeah.
And they just kept saying it's croup, do the normal croup things. Our oldest always got croup in the fall, so it was okay, well, number 2 is gonna be like Zach, and so
Put him on a steroid.
put him on steroids like we would, for a kid with asthma and croup, and kind of went that route. And then
He's on it for 2 weeks, right?
and then he woke up in the middle of the night one night, gasping for air, and he had that croup, stridor or whatever. And I rushed him to the hospital in the middle of the night, and same thing, croup. Sent us home. About a week later, I got a phone call from our daycare provider at the time, which was an in-home, and she just said he's acting really weird. He's got the cold sweats. He's laying on the rug in front of the kitchen sink and can't stay awake.
He pretty much passed out.
Yeah, and so I called our pediatrician, and he's at this point, you need to take him back through the emergency room. So took him in, and they got him in a room and started to do the normal eval, and they said, well, this time we're going to do an x-ray. We didn't even get out of the room, and there were doctors chasing us down the hallway because half of his chest had a mass in it. His whole trachea was bent at a 90-degree angle. It was pushed up from the mass, and that's why he was coughing.
Man, I was just a wreck, because I knew exactly what it was. I didn't know what type of cancer it was. I just knew I just automatically go worst case scenario and assume it's cancer. Anytime somebody says mass, So yeah, once they, I felt bad because I couldn't keep it together, but he was pretty chill.
Yeah.
So he actually calmed me down just by his demeanor,
Just sat down with Kevin, and we just started to talk about Mason's life, and I asked him questions and sort of talked about what he would want to see in the workout. And so together we kind of developed all these movements. Everything from the ball slam. The ball slam was kind of the first big one because Mason's favorite superhero was the Incredible Hulk. So we thought it'd be cool to do some sort of slam, because that's kind of the Hulk's move, is to kind of slam stuff really hard. So that was sort of the first movement we actually put in, was that ball slam. And then from there we kind of built everything else around that movement. And so everything from their kids' age to their kids' birthdays to Mason's age, Mason's birthday, the day Mason was born to the day he passed away. All those numbers are all sort of mixed in that WOD.
There for the first week or so in the hospital, he would not get up. He wouldn't move around. I was like, this ain't good, because he's gonna get weak. I mean, that's why I was like, we gotta get his bike up here because I gotta get him off me because I gotta move. You know, like I'm not gonna be able to walk if I sit here much longer. And as soon as he seen that Grandpa brought his bike up, he was like pulling the covers off, like
I want to ride.
Yeah.
I want to ride. You know.
Yeah.
And then he was like Kev was running with the IV full to like
Yeah.
keep up with them in the hallways. He was happy once that bike
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to hide behind our legs anytime we'd go somewhere, you know, and he didn't know
Shy,
you. He was
yeah.
shy. And then he went from the kid in the hospital bed waving at every nurse that would go by outside in the hallway, and everybody knew his name and knew him.
I think he enjoyed the attention.
Yeah. But he did have a humorous personality. We used to do lots of goofing around when he was sick in the hospital.
Yeah, he'd like to wear a fake mustache.
The doctors would come in and he'd put his mustache on, and then he wouldn't say anything, he'd just stare.
You know, nobody wants to lose a son or a daughter. So for us to show up here on a Friday and suffer for 25, 30 minutes and be uncomfortable, it's a small way to remember, and it's a small way to recognize what the farmers have to deal with for the rest of their lives, and what Mason had to deal with in his battle with cancer.
The diagnosis was a lymphoblastic lymphoma T cell. As soon as after he had his first chemo treatment, and one of the doctors had said, I was hoping for a better response. I mean, and this is a good response, but I was hoping for better. And I was like, you know, like maybe we don't know exactly what we're dealing with, you know. Because I could just read he said that, but I could also read the concern on his face. And, you know, they were really, that's what I told him. I was like, don't bullshit me. Like, I need to know. I just, you know, I look back at when we were faced with choices, you know, like, is this the right choice? Is this the right choice? And I mean, there's no way to like ever really know, you know. I mean, obviously, there were different treatment options that could have killed him, like just from the treatment itself. And at that point, it was just we were in it, and it was like we gotta find a way out, you know. And obviously, it didn't go the way we wanted it to go. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't because we didn't, and he didn't give it his all.
I don't know. He's the strongest person I know.
I really feel like any athlete that's a part of this community who's lost somebody close to them, or even the community themselves who have lost somebody, it's important, and it's our way to honor them. It's our way to remember that person for the rest of our lives. As CrossFitters, we focus that around fitness. And so what better way to honor somebody's life than to create a portrait using, you know, a workout.
I think the community as a whole has always been like super supportive since the day he was diagnosed to, I mean, still today. Obviously, like people still wear their Team Mason shirts, their Wreck-It Mason shirts. So this was just an addition to what was started. To me, like when I'm doing this workout, I like get to the burpees and want to quit, and then remember how hard he must have pushed to make it through as far as he could. And so you gotta like suck it up and push yourself through. This year was the first time I RX'd it, so it was harder, I think, than it was. We do it on his birthday too, but I just think of him the whole time and how happy he was the whole time he was sick, but also how hard he was fighting, and we didn't really.
How happy are you during the workout?
Not very happy.
So the fact that this gym is so entrenched in the community, and the community was so entrenched in Mason's life, it just made sense to develop the workout. And it's cool because every year we do it, it becomes more meaningful, and it becomes something that I feel like is just adding to the value of not only the farmer's life, not only Mason's legacy, but also to the gym.
The day of like the year watch for Mace, like I get anxious, you know, but at the same time it's like being a proud dad, you know, just the fact that my son has like a hero wad, which is normally reserved for, you know, war heroes and police officers and stuff like that. It's just a cool thing, you know, and usually there's like a huge turnout in the gym, and I mean, it's nice having the support from, you know,
Even on social media, people from the gym post, you know, that they did this and they didn't know Mace, but they feel like they know him, you know, through this workout and meeting us, and it's a cool vibe when you walk in and you feel everybody here for that reason for him, you know, like we don't get to do that. We don't get to show up at games and meets or whatever he would have gotten into, and so this is something we get to show up at for him, so it's kind of my favorite.